People always love to talk about, oh, it's all about feel. Like, yeah, it's about feel, dude. Of course it's about feel. Like, it's so frustrating. People in the comments being like, you gotta have like, it's like, dude, yes, you do have to have feel. You do have to have good phrasing. You do have to have great musicality. That's so important. But you can't execute any of that unless you have technical ability. This is a millennial's guide to boomer guitar solos. And in this video, I'm gonna show you why boomers wrote the most kick-ass guitar solos of all time and exactly how you can do the same. Now, before you get mad at me for saying the word boomer, the 60s, 70s, and 80s brought forth the greatest era of guitar playing ever. And there will never be anything like it ever again. The explosion of popularity around the electric guitar was truly a musical and cultural phenomenon. I mean, think about it. It's really the only instrument in popular music, like radio music, that got more notoriety than the lead singer of the band, than the actual vocals. The guitarist was the one that everyone worshipped. And that's because a handful of baby boomer guitar players, people like Eddie Van Halen, Angus Young, and Randy Rhoads, to name a few, were creating sounds from the guitar that no one had ever heard before, and it blew everyone away. And here's the thing, so hold on to your horses. If you're someone who always wanted to shred and write solos like your guitar heroes, but never had what it took, don't fret, because in this video, I'm gonna show you that you do have what it takes. So let's dive in. So we're gonna take that solo that I just played in the intro of the video because I wrote that solo, and I'm nothing special, but I just followed a few things that I'm about to teach you. So there's a few things that you need to write a kick-ass boomer guitar solo. Number one is you need the Muse. Now, what's the Muse? The Muse is what people, I mean, I've heard Eddie Van Halen even talk about this. It's like, they say the music just comes from somewhere and you can't explain. Something opens up in the heavens, whatever, from God, if you believe in God. Something is like pouring through you and helping you create the music. I don't see it as something so inexplicable and woo-woo. I honestly view the Muse as your subconscious opening up as you're in this musical flow state. So basically everything that you've learned and heard and truly internalized is coming out of you and coming through you. Like, for example, you're not going to be able to play something that you've never heard before or that you technically can't even execute. I personally believe, and you can send hate all you want, that the Muse and this creative genius that people have is truly a result of all of the stuff that they've learned and all of the hard work that they put in, that's just sort of opening up through their subconscious in this sort of flow state. So how can you have greater access to this Muse or this subconscious opening of ideas? Well, honestly, the more that you learn, the more material that you learn from other guitar players, the more that you study music, the more that you internalize music, other people's ideas, and the more that you just create and try to contextualize what you've learned into your own musical ideas, the more that this Muse will open up for you. And that's what I did with this solo. You know, as the track is opening up, you know, that isn't just that's not some God-given thing that came to me. Like, these are licks and phrases that I've developed and learned over time, and that through practice, you know, in the creative process, I've learned to contextualize them into my own creative playing. Which brings me to my next point. You need to borrow ideas from other people, from stuff that you've learned.
Some people, they'll say like, oh, you have this original style, and I go, well, it's only original because it's the people I took from, you know.
So, I mean, I copied everybody and still do.
Led Zeppelin's playing, and Jimmy Page is going like this. He's going. Okay, so he's got his hand up in the air, and I'm going.
So that whole first phrase, there's a lot of different stuff and ideas that I got from other people. I mean, specifically, Matteo Sasato, he's not a boomer, but he has really cool ideas as far as like phrasing. So sliding up, instead of just bending on a note, sliding up as you bend, like. And that phrase is very similar to some Guthrie Govan stuff that I've learned. I mean, I can go through the whole solo and sort of pinpoint like where I got this inspiration and ideas from. I'm not necessarily thinking that stuff in the moment, but it comes through me because I've learned so much other stuff and I've practiced continually using it in my own playing. The next thing you need for an incredible boomer guitar solo is good melody. So you obviously need to understand scales and keys, or if not, have a really freaking good ear. But essentially, I want to create something memorable, and I think Neil Sean from Journey did this super well. He created some of the most memorable melodic guitar solos that you could just sing. I didn't do that super well in this solo, but like even just like melodies that you can sing, like the other thing is you need unique phrasing. And if there's anyone who has unique phrasing, it's Eddie Van Halen. I went back to the other thing, which is idea borrowing, and I borrowed this pattern right here. He did something like that. So it's a mixture of Randy Rhoads and Eddie Van Halen sort of style tapping. The phrasing is unique because, you know, instead of going like, so basically the phrase goes like this. I was originally gonna go, but that's not super unique. So like what Eddie does is he'll pull off to an open string and then use the whammy bar and then go down to like a lower phrasing. So like, so that's an example of unique phrasing because I'm using open strings instead of, you know, the note that's already around near this pattern. And then I'm using the whammy bar that gives it more of an expressive vocal phrasing, and then pinch harmonics coming out of the whammy bar dive. These are all tricks and tips, you know, you can use to spice up your phrasing and make it more unique. And again, this all comes from obsessively learning as much as you can from other players, I think. The other thing is pocket. To create a good baby boomer guitar solo, you need pocket. You need good rhythm, timing. This comes from practicing with the metronome. If you don't practice with the metronome, I'm not gonna go too far into pocket right now, but basically you need to be able to play everything that you know, you should be able to play isolated with just a metronome, perfectly clean, perfectly in time. That's how you know you're in the pocket and you're a good pocket player. So far we have the Muse, which is basically your subconscious opening up and getting ideas from everything that you've conjured up over the years. Idea borrowing, melody, pocket or good rhythm, unique phrasing, and last but not least, technical ability. Now some of the stuff I'm doing in here and a lot of what you hear in the baby boomer era of guitar solos is really technical. It's really difficult. And this is probably the most important part. People always love to talk about, oh, it's all about feel. Like, yeah, it's about feel, dude. Of course it's about feel. Like, it's so frustrating. People in the comments being like you gotta have like, blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, yes, you do have to have feel. You do have to have good phrasing. You do have to have great musicality. That's so important. But you can't execute any of that unless you have technical ability, unless you can string transition, unless you can alternate pick, unless you can execute a technique fast and clean. Technical ability is the last thing. It's extremely important. And a lot of people don't know how to develop their technical ability because they've tried and tried and tried, and no matter what they do, they can't do it. I know I was in the same spot. And not to do like a salesy pitch here, but if you are one of those people, I do have a community of guitar players where I help you develop insane technical ability. So if you're interested in that, click the link in the description. And last but not least, if you want to dive in a little bit further to taking your licks and your solos that you've learned and actually applying them to your own playing and your own writing, click this video right here.